I'm Jeff Smith. I'll be your host on this week's edition of Norsemen Football Review.
Good evening, everyone. Welcome to this week's edition of Norsemen Football Review. For the next half hour, we'll take an in-depth look at the Norsemen football team. So join us for the next half hour on this week's edition of the Norsemen Football Review.
Times where one team did a little bit better job, and there was positions in the field of play where one team started a little bit better than the other. But for all indications, this was by far, in my opinion, the best football game North Glen has played this year.
Well, I think that there were some awful good things that we did do out there as the Norsemen are maturing as a group. We were not able to control our offensive line, let me put it that way. Our kicking game was very poor. And defensively, I felt we did a pretty good job of controlling their front line and taking away their four big plays, the sweep, the trap, the bootleg, and the counter crisscross. And we took those away and forced them into alternative types of offensive plays. But because of the kicking game and things not going well in other areas of the game, we were in bad field position most of the night.
Statistically and in most other aspects of the game, especially the end score, Thornton did win. But there were a lot of good things that North Glen did do in this particular game. The highlights will indicate that, and why don't we just get right to those? Dan, he did have a good philosophy for the kids, and it's always easy to get up for the Thornton High School football team.
Oh, there's no question. When you play Thornton and North Glen football, it is going to be one of the highlights of the year, and everybody comes to play. There isn't anybody that really has a desire to not play in that game. Right from the get-go, they kicked the ball into the end zone. They did that most of the night, and we have the football on the 20-yard line. We drop back to throw the pass here, and Jeff Powell just overthrows the wide receiver there. Otherwise, we had a first down. Here's our first punt. Rob Levin gets great height on the punt. It comes down about the 46-yard line, and Thornton takes the football, and we're on defense here in red. We have both backers coming there, and Matt Davis is the one that gets the draw there and makes the tackle, number 54, does a real good job. Leroy's in motion. There's a counter crisscross, and right there, J.J. Bennett reads it real well, steps up, makes the tackle.
Did a fine job. Best defense against that play I've seen all year, but who better to know what Thornton might do in that situation?
Well, we know them very well. They know us very well, and I can't say it's easy to defend them, but at the same token, you're looking for big plays against them and trying to stop the big plays from them. They stall their drive right here. We're able to stop them, and they go for the field goal, and he kicks it and kicks a little bit wide. So the defense gets themselves out of a jam here. There's a picture of Rob Levin. We get the football back, and we have to punt, and things weren't just... They were just not with us that night in terms of our punting game. We downed the ball on the 27, 28-yard line there, so they only have to go 28 to get in. Here, a breakdown in the coverage in which they're wide open for the out pass, and we weren't able to cover it, so quickly they go up 7-0.
That unbalanced line was something new and they haven't shown before. Did that pose any quick problems for you?
Well, it posed a problem on the far end of the field. That one particular touchdown was not unbalanced, and we didn't have a problem with it there. But our coverage we had a problem with there. Our offense stalls again. We're not able to move the ball, and again we punt the football, get good height.
Good bounce.
Ball comes down. We get a decent bounce there, and we come through and down the football somewhere near midfield. Here goes the counter crisscross again, and we shut it down again with, it looks like Ian Bell is in there and all kinds of people.
Into the first quarter, score is 7-0 in favor of Thornton. They're driving still and inside the 20-yard line of North Glen.
They threw a screen pass here, which was an excellent call in this particular situation. They executed very well. He rambles down the field to about the 5-yard line. And as you can see right here, they're unbalanced. And this particular situation is where it did hurt us. We weren't ready for it. We didn't know they were going to do it. We had half our line that moved over and half did not. There was some carryover from weeks before, but see, what happens when you're immature is you do not carry over as much as you should, and that was a carryover learning situation in which we needed to move over and be even up on them being unbalanced. We get the kickoff here, coming back with Lee Peters has the ball, finds a small seam and gets through it, moves out to about the 26-yard line.
Get a return against Scott Johnston, something that usually doesn't happen.
No, he's quite the kicker. He does a great job. Kyle Ray with the fullback trap through the middle for about 5. Had some good blocking on that situation. Our guards and center and tackles doing a good job. Here we're in a strong back set, straight drop back. We have a screen pass, and we miss a block out here on number 44, and he comes up and makes a tackle on Kyle Ray.
He was the last man there, and he would have had some room. That screen pass has been a great play for Northglenn all year. Obviously, a lot of things, once again, one player away from a big play.
Right here you can see the great coverage that we've got downfield on Billy Gonzalez. We had to make sure that he wasn't going to get loose all night long. There they run the sweep again, and we corral Leroy. Then the power eye blast in there, and Andy Ertl comes over, number 94, and makes a tackle from the far side. Motion, they throw the screen out to this side or the flare pass, and Andy almost makes a tackle behind down there, and they kick the extra point, or the field goal, excuse me, and just has enough to get through it. He got underneath that ball a little bit more than he's used to hitting it.
Yep. It looked like somebody had a hand on it, actually. 17-0 now in the second quarter of play.
We kick off, they kicked off to us, and we have the football down about the 9-yard line. We stumbled on catching the ball. Get out to about the 15, and then we have to punt again. There's one thing about the Norsemen here, they didn't quit. They were ball aware right here. We just didn't get the football before it went out of bounds and lost a chance there. We could have had a chance, had a good field position. Motion, straight drop back. He throws it hard over the middle, and Brian Hempelman hits the ball up in the air and catches his own bobble. So we get good field position finally. Weak backs, we run the bootleg, and Jeff Powell just overthrows Damon Berry here, who was wide open. Would have been 6 points.
Again, just one step away. That was a great move out there by Damon Berry for those
Damon catches that one. Then we have to punt the football. We punt it away, and it goes deep and gets a Thornton bounce there about the 25-yard line, and we pretty much end the half at that point. We come out. This is the first play from that in the second half. And Kyle Ray runs a trap for about 8 to 9. We throw outside to Sean Burrow, and Sean gets upfield about 9 yards. So we're starting to click a little bit. We're in a power eye set. We run the fullback trap again. He gets upfield about 7, 8 more yards. We're starting to move. And all we did was tell the kids, hey, we were down last year 13-0. There's no reason why we can't come back. Here, Jeff Powell pulls it down and scampers upfield for about 22 yards. And with a little enthusiasm there, something good happening. That's nice to see.
Things are really clicking there for the Northglenn offense coming out of the locker room.
We throw outside to Ricky Romero. Ricky just cannot break free from the tackle there. He drops back again. Jeff throws a low one to Kyle, and Kyle gets upfield, almost the first down spike. You can see it there. And then we go for it, and we had a mishandle there, and we really didn't fumble the football. We got the ball right back in our hands, but we didn't make the first down, so the drive stalls, and Thornton takes this drive and takes it all the way the length of the field. Greg Lassen in there with good penetration for the sweep. There is Gary Fallon does a super job getting pressure on Atwood again.
Because that Northglenn defense had been around the quarterback and in the right holes all night long. It was not like a dominating 17 points in that first half.
Here we roughed the kicker for the second time in the evening, and otherwise we would have had the football back. We did a super job on defense from then on. They took the ball in, and they just give it off tackle to Leroy, and he squirts into the end zone. So the score's 24-0, and they've got some poor field position here. They come up field, we make the tackle out about the 15 to the 20. Atwood gets outside, we got pressure on him, and he throws it out of bounds. one thing was very impressive about Atwood. He did a great job of getting rid of the football when he needed to. Here, Greg Lassen comes up the middle, makes the block, and Brian Hempelman jumps on in the end zone for a score.
Is that how he got hurt there?
Hempelman?
Yeah.
Yeah. Somebody stepped on his calf.
Because like I say, he looked fine going in and walked him, got up a little slow on that after scoring the touchdown.
So we go for 2 here, and we loft it high in the air, and Matt Holstrom jumps up and grabs it, comes down for the 2 points.
A great short yardage play. We were trying to decide how you were going to do that during the game, and that just opened up for you. It was a great call.
Drop back. We're still in this ball game, and we're trying to make things happen. Lee Peters catches the ball, tries to get upfield for a few more. That's a good job there.
Get the ball back with 7 minutes, too, I will add, after making that score. So things were still looking good. Yeah, now, I'm not sure what happened to Taper. He exchanged the ball, Thornton had it back, and an interception was made, or a fumble made over there on that far side, and Brian Hempelman came up with the ball. So Northglenn gets the ball back now with about 5 minutes left in the game.
Lee catches it again over there on this side, and we throw out to Kyle Ray. And Kyle does a good job of catching the football there. He was rocked just as he caught the football, and the ball bobbled, and then he re-grabbed it.
Unfortunate incident there in the game, a suspension of a player for a week for the Thornton side, but doesn't stop Northglenn. They decide to keep on going here.
We keep coming, and Jeff steps up and throws outside, and just completely overthrew the receiver out there, and Billy picks it off, and Billy comes down the field with it, and
it was a good job there by offender going to defender to get the ball loose, but the ball still went over to the Thornton side as we see the time run out at the end of the game.
Too little, too late. Thornton right there wins the ball game. You know, with about 2 minutes left in the ball game, the score was 24-8. I walked down to one of my assistants and I said, you know, we score 2 touchdowns and we get 2 points twice, and we're a tie ball game and we're in overtime, and that's the way the kids were feeling about it. We were just going to keep on playing. Didn't matter how much time was left on the clock. We still knew we had we're going to be able to pull the thing out.
Very good, Dan. Thank you. After the break, we'll talk about next week's football game up in Fort Collins, a game that I'm sure Northglenn is looking forward to very much so. And we'll bring out Andy Ertl, number 94, the defensive tackle for Northglenn, right after this break on Norsemen Football Review. To be pleased. A lot of players coming back again from the injuries at the beginning of the year. You have pretty much your full team at full strength with about 5 games left in the league. You're 1-1 right now. Your quick impressions about Pooter and for the rest of the season?
Well, Pooter, I really think that the one thing that Pooter does is they feel that Northglenn is probably the biggest game they have on their schedule, and I just realized that this year. We got a press clipping out of the Fort Collins, Colorado, and it states that Kevin Williams, the quarterback up there, he says, that's okay about this week. We'll be ready for Northglenn next week. And they're always ready for us, always. And it's their homecoming. I really think that the Northglenn game is a bigger game for them than either the 2 inner-city rivals that they've got with Fort Collins and Rocky Mountain. So they'll be ready for us. And this year we're going to be ready for them.
Co-champions going into last year. There's 3 playoff spots available for the Front Range this year. You're 1-1 in the league, right in the middle of things. This is a big game for Northglenn. How are the players handling the situation this week?
We had one of the better practices that we've had all year. It was spirited. It was enthusiastic. The players understand what types of things have happened. They understand where they're at. They understand what they've got to do. And they came out tonight and just had a great night of practice. We had a good scout session. We had a good 11-on-11 scrimmage type session and good drills tonight. And they were very responsive, and I'm looking forward to good things throughout the week.
Any injuries or things noteworthy coming out of the Thornton game that we should all know about?
Well, Gary Fallon had a broken hand, and he played with a broken hand. It happened before the game. And Gary went to the doctor today and found out that they're going to hold him out until October 12th. So he's going to be out for a couple days. Brian Lamford dislocated his shoulder on about the 3rd from the last play in the game, and he'll be out for a while. So those 2 for sure. But on the other hand, it looks like we're going to get Jason Klein and Derwin Norwood back at tailback, so that could help us out quite a bit.
Coach, tell me about the young fellow that you brought with us this evening.
Well, Andy is an exceptional young man. Andy has been around with us since he was a sophomore and has played for for us and been with the varsity squad all 3 years. Andy spends his summers with his dad up in Sterling and works in a feedlot and works very hard during the summer, and then comes back here and it's like he's going on vacation when he's playing football.
I was going to say, you breathe that thin air all summer and you come out here and work with Dan Gellis, it has to be a breeze.
Well, it it isn't that hard, but it isn't that easy also.
I understand it's got its finer points and its duller points at times.
Yes, we always have the real hard practices, but then again, we always have the easy ones too.
Easy to balance it out and still think the coach is a good guy after all.
Yes.
Andy, tell me about yourself. Name, numbers, things of that nature.
I'm number 94. I've played on varsity for 3 years. I got into a couple games my sophomore year. I started a little less than half of the games my junior year, and my senior year I'm just having fun.
This kind of experience, do you consider yourself, or do the other players consider you somebody that they can look up to for experience and leadership?
I hope so.
How often do you get a chance to express your views in that direction?
Well, when the captains speak, they always ask if anybody else has any other opinions that they would like to express.
You're usually right there.
And I try to be.
Yeah, you're the one that does the team poem then every week, right? No, I'm just kidding.
No.
Something that comes from our past way back. The last thing, or the other thing I wanted to mention about Andy, or ask Andy about, has simply slipped my mind there. But Andy, in school, things that you aspire to do each day for high school, or are you building towards a college education? What things do you have in your future?
I would like to go into a field of maybe law or psychology, because it's just, I enjoy those kind of things.
Both of them very difficult, and places that offer fine education in those areas. Any place in particular thinking or pointing towards at this time?
Well, I'd like to go to Nebraska myself, or the Air Force Academy.
The
But
big NU? Well, we know
Yes.
a little bit about that in the Smith family, but Air Force, now tell me about that. That's a little different situation to get involved with the Air Force. What kind of things will you have to do this year to get yourself ready for the Air Force?
I have to get my nominations from my congressmen and the senators.
And what kind of things would you put on an application? Just basically life experiences? and
Experiences, hobbies, any clubs that I'm currently in or have been in the past.
with the congressman, who in this area would we be talking to as far as Congress people?
I'm not sure.
Oh,
really.
now come on, we got to have this one here for sure. We'll give them a little pub for the votes that are coming up here, but that's okay. Andy, in school, what kind of classes are you taking right now?
I'm taking physics, a class called pt6. It's a problem-solving class.
It deals with what kind of problems?
Just actually modern-day problems. Just recently, we read a book and analyzed it in class.
What was the book? Now I'm interested here. Andy, I will say right now, you've been by far the most interesting person we've had on the show as far as players are concerned. You have a lot to bring as
Jeff,
far as...
you've got a lot of other players watching this.
That's okay. Send your cards and letters, bud. You got the phone right here.
I'm going to get it tomorrow, I'm sure of that.
Tell me a little bit more about this class.
We read the book Candide by Voltaire. It's a real controversial book.
Especially for the time that
Yes.
it was written. Okay.
And
Arts and Literature 102 here tonight on Norsemen Football Review. Go ahead, Eddie. I'm sorry.
yeah, we just analyzed it, and then we watched a movie called Being There. And we had to analyze how they were alike and how they were different.
Sounds like you get a lot of good technical work there in school. Andy, I tell you what, I'm going to put in a plug here. I got to let everybody know the phone number tonight, 450-6988 and 88, in case you have any phone calls or questions for anybody tonight. So please feel free to jump right on the phones. This is your cue. We won't keep you waiting. Andy, anybody out there you'd like to say hello to this evening that didn't get a chance to come down with you this evening?
I have to say hi to the defensive line or they'll kill me.
Well, that's always a smart thing to do, very smart thing to do. Who would that be?
That would be Brian Hempelman at OB, Gary Fallon at right tackle, Greg Lassen at nose guard, Ian Bell at eagle end, and then me at left tackle.
Left tackle. Now, what kind of responsibilities does the left tackle carry each week?
No secret.
Thornton game's over, Coach.
Okay. It depends on whether I'm on the strong or weak side. We got away from switching from strength, like one person playing strong tackle all the time, because it took too much time to shift. So now I just have pass, run, and contain sometimes.
Play an area pretty much and just take on all comers, right?
Yes.
The defensive tackle is not a glamorous position. In fact, usually you guys are the ones that are taking on the linemen so the linebackers can get all the glory. Is that generally how that works?
Yes, well, if we do our job and we let the linebackers roam, then
Keep the people off the linebackers.
then we're doing our job.
Very good. Pooter, any special memories about this game coming up next week?
I got a chance to play in it last year, and they're a really hard-hitting team just because they just enjoy beating on us.
Is this a history type of thing? I didn't know that Pooter had a number here against Northglenn. Is that just something that they set their sights on?
That was just something that I picked up.
Experienced last year.
Just experienced last year.
In the last 4 years, they've beaten us 3 times, and we've won 1 game, and they were knocking on the doors when that one ended, and they've had 2 shutouts against us. They're always ready for us.
It's time to change that. Let's change the pace a little bit. We got a caller, 450-6988. Let's go right to the phones. And yeah, that's my favorite tone. Thank you very much. But Andy, any other things that you'd like to add in commenting about the show this evening, or the reasons for you being able to be picked to come on the show this evening?
I think that's just a judgment call by the coach. But one thing about our defense, I really feel that we're starting to come together as a unit.
And it showed last week. It was a fine effort. Boy, you guys were all over the place. It was kind of frustrating, I know, especially for the Northglenn fans who are always used to a very fine defensive effort, and to see the points and the rankings of where everybody was at as far as Northglenn defense this year. You turned everything around as far as I'm concerned in a matter of a week. You saw things building towards this game. But when you actually got out there on the field, I think Thornton was even taken back, because here they had come out and shut down one of the finest runners in the state on defense for them. Their offense, they usually pretty used to just doing whatever they want to do, and this tough Northglenn team comes in, and they do exactly what they wanted to do to start the game. And you guys really didn't give up too much throughout the game. You have to be proud for the effort that everybody put forth.
Yes. It's just, I don't know. We're just coming together and starting to work as a unit instead of a bunch of individuals running around.
The number, once again, is 450-6988. Andy, as you look through the rest of the season, you obviously, well, even before the season starts, everybody likes to set goals. In fact, a lot of coaches nowadays, they make you set goals for yourself and for the team. What kind of things did you set for yourself this year?
Well, I wanted to go to the state championship game. And it's like, that was something that's eluded our team for a couple of years, even though I thought we've had the talent. We just, it's like a car going up a hill. We just haven't got that last oomph to get it over the top.
Do you think right now, as we near the midpoint of the season, or I guess we are at the midpoint of the season, that you've reached the apex there and things should be a little bit more smoother sailing, things technique-wise will be in place for each of the games that come up?
Well, we're starting to get back in our rhythm, and the technique is, it's hard to make physical mistakes. It's the mental ones that really kill you.
Well, Andy, we got about 30 seconds for either of you. Is there anything that you would say imparting for the Pooter Impalas to put on their bulletin board, but more importantly, to get your players psyched up for next week?
Jeff, I will say this, that I believe that, I think that we played a very good football team last week, and I believe that the Norsemen are on the verge of really making something great happen. We're very close to getting it over the top, as Andy said. We've just got to continue to come together and not point fingers at anybody, and continue to realize that this is a team sport and it's going to be won and lost by a team.
Well, I want to thank you, gentlemen, for being on the show. We'll be back after final thoughts on Norsemen Football Review. Sorry, we can't take any more calls. The show's over. Call sooner next week. We'll be right back.